Hey Bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we are making a lovely hydrating summer face and body mist. So this is a mostly, pretty much entirely water-based mist that you can put in a bottle and you can mist, and you can mist it over your face, and you can mist it over your body, and it's really, really lovely. It has all kinds of wonderful humectants in it to help your skin hold on to moisture during these summer days where your skin is typically exposed to a lot more of the elements than it might otherwise be, because it's actually nice to be outside, which is awesome. You can customize this mist quite a lot if you want to, and by customize I sort of mean if you don't have all of the ingredients that I use, you can still make it and it'll still be pretty good. So the bulk of the mist is water with a little bit of peppermint hydrosol. So peppermint hydrosol is really neat in that it's got that lovely minty coolness that you're used to from peppermint, but without the sort of pow that you can get from the essential oil. It's a little bit more of a subtle like mint rather than like mint, which is neat. And also I bought some and I wanted to use it. I've included 4 awesome humectants in this. There's vegetable glycerin, sodium lactate, hydrolyzed silk, and panthenol, also known as vitamin B5. So if you don't have both sodium lactate and vegetable glycerin, just use all of one or all of the other. That's okay. Just don't increase the amount, the total amount, which is sort of 1% of each. So don't increase sort of past that, because too much glycerin is sticky and too much sodium lactate will make your skin sun sensitive, which is sort of exactly the opposite of what we want for something for the summer. Then there is some hydrolyzed silk. Hydrolyzed silk is amazing. It's one of my favorite things for my skin. It is a wonderful humectant. Now, if you don't have hydrolyzed silk or you are vegan, you can use a different hydrolyzed protein instead. So you can get like hydrolyzed oat protein is pretty easy to get. But you can also get fancy ones like hydrolyzed quinoa protein. So look around, see what you have. It's pretty fun. You could also use sea kelp bioferment instead, which isn't sort of strictly a hydrolyzed protein. It's not at all a hydrolyzed protein, but it has similar properties. And then for vitamin B5, the panthenol is an amazing ingredient. It helps, in addition to sort of hydration, it also helps with irritation and healing. So I really, really love it. And I'd highly encourage you to get some, because that's pretty inexpensive and it just teensy amounts. We use it in lots and lots of things and it makes them super awesome. I've also included a teensy weensy bit of Olivem 300 in this. So Olivem 300 is an ester made from oleic acid, which is derived from olive oil. So saying that it's water-soluble olive oil is not entirely true, but it's a water-soluble part of olive oil, and it's really, really neat. We can add just a little bit of it to our mist, and we don't have to worry about including another emulsifier because it will emulsify itself, which is pretty groovy. And it gives us just more emollient goodness for the misting. An added benefit of including this is that it does also work a little bit as a solubilizer. So if you don't have peppermint hydrosol, you can include 1 solitary drop of peppermint essential oil and then replace the peppermint hydrosol with more distilled water, which is pretty groovy. Something else I'm doing with this project is I am doing a bit of pH buffering, which is something that is relatively new to me. But I have been doing a ton of research into the importance of the pH of our skincare products as of late, and I thought, hey, let's start implementing my new knowledge now. I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot more about this from me in the future, but for now I've thrown some great reading into the description box below, and I can't recommend reading it enough. Some of it is very, very eye-opening. So super interesting, and yes, we'll be playing with a bit of citric acid towards the end of this project. The process of this is pretty darn easy. We have a heated phase to make sure that the allantoin we're using fully dissolves. It's pretty stubborn in that regard, so we're using fairly little of it and definitely heating it through, because I once tried to see if the heating was necessary. It is. I had to throw that one out. It was very shardy on the face, not nice. And then we have a cool down phase, and then we'll pH adjust, which is kind of fun. You'll need some pH strips for that. I mean, you don't strictly have to do the pH adjustment, because it does come out to be sort of around 6, which isn't so bad on its own, but it's pretty fun. And when you read the articles below, you'll probably kind of want to. And yeah, then kind of like stir everything together and put in our preservative, and then it goes. And then you have a mist, a facial mist, and you're ready to tackle the summer with happy, hydrated skin. So come on, let's get started. We'll begin by getting our heated phase ready to be heated. So in here, I have 35 grams of distilled water. This is 1/4 gram of allantoin, 1/2 gram of sodium lactate, 1/2 gram of vegetable glycerin, 2 grams of Olivem 300, and I always get asked when I use Olivem 300 if you can use Olivem 1000 instead. But if you look at the consistency of this, you can see it's a liquid. And Olivem 1000 is big, like shardy white chunks of kind of wax. So no, they're not anything close to one another. And then we have 1/2 gram of silk. And this is hydrolyzed silk, so it is water soluble. These are hydrolyzed silk peptides. You can also use amino acids or liquid silk. Powder will work too, but because it's larger, it doesn't work quite as well as a humectant. All right, so I give it a little stir. So we're going to pop this in a water bath. So this is just a small saucepan with probably about 2 centimeters, like 2/3 of an inch of water at the bottom. Usually I do more, but this is such a small batch that it would make this little beaker float. And I'm gonna go pop this on my stovetop over medium heat for about 15 to 20 minutes until the allantoin is nicely dissolved along with everything else. While our heated phase gets nice and toasty, we'll mix up our cool down phase. So in here I have 10 grams of peppermint hydrosol, which just like peppermint essential oil is wonderfully cool on the skin, but because it's a hydrosol, it's not nearly as intense, which is nice because this is going on our face. And this powder stuff that I'm adding is panthenol. So this is 1/2 gram of powdered panthenol. You can also use 1/2 gram of liquid panthenol if that's what you've got. All right, well, that was pretty easy. Now we just have to wait for our heated phase to finish doing its heating. So it's been about 20 minutes and this is nice and steaming, so we are done with our water bath. So you'll still see some blobs in here, and that is the Olivem 300. A bit of stirring, there we go, it'll incorporate beautifully. Even though everything is nice and lovely incorporated here, this is very hot, and we don't want to add our cool down ingredients to something that is very hot. So I'm just going to leave this to continue to cool down. Now, of course, this is a pretty darn small beaker, and I'm actually gonna pop it on the countertop because that'll help it cool even faster. So it shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes to cool down. We'll just sort of be looking for a touch on the outside of the beaker and having it feel warm and not proper hot as it does now. Now that this is just barely warm to the touch, we can add our cool down ingredients. So next up is testing the pH. Because this is going on our face, we want to make sure that it has a pH pretty close to that of our skin, which is kind of around 5-ish. So let's see where it is now. Got some pH strips here. Give that a little dipsy doodle. All right, so that's around 6. I'd like it to be a little bit lower, closer to about 5.5. So we're gonna buffer it with a little bit of citric acid. So this is 0.07 grams of citric acid, or about 1/64 of a teaspoon. Starting small so that we don't overshoot it, because that's not good either. Okay, well, that didn't really change very much, so let's add a little bit more citric acid for the next round. This is 0.17 grams. That's starting to look a little bit darker, but it's pretty imperceptible, so more we need. This is 0.32 grams. Again, that's a little bit darker. So if we pull out our chart again, we are getting, let's see here. Compared to where we were initially, it's a slight difference, but I think that's about where we want to be. So I'm going to leave it at that. Obviously, if I had a true pH meter, this would be a lot more accurate. So if you have one that you're really, really happy with, please let me know about it in the comment section below, and please make sure that it's available in Canada before you do, because then I'll get really, really excited about something that I can't get or that costs an absolute fortune over here. Now, before we pop in our bottle, we just need to add our preservative. So here I have 1/4 gram of liquid Germall Plus. And we can add this to our bottle. So this is a lovely blue glass bottle that I got from New Directions Aromatics, but I got it several years ago and it has since been discontinued. So I'm sorry, but I can't tell you where to get it unless you happen to have a time machine, which is kind of a bummer, but such is life. Now our last part is popping our spray top on. So this one has still a very long tube, so I just have to trim that to fit. Just hold this up to the length of the bottle. A little easier if you tip it on its side, but obviously it doesn't work if it's already full. Trim it, make sure you make it a little longer than you think you might need rather than shorter, since it's obviously easier to trim more off than to have it too short. That's about that. Let's give that a little misty goodness. Lovely. Ever so slightly chilly on my hand, which means it'll be a really nice, just noticeable effect on the face and not be a little startlingly minty. And there you go, you just made yourself a lovely, refreshing, hydrating face and body mist. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and check the description box below for the full written recipe and links to this recipe on my blog. And definitely remember to check out my blog too, because there are over 900 posts there, because I have been blogging since 2011. So thanks so much again, and I will see you next time.